Hi, I'm Manga Captor, and isn't it crazy that the year is almost over? I didn't get to read everything I thought I would, but instead of lamenting what wasn't read, I want to look towards the future and share with you 25 manga and books that I want to read in 2025. So let's get started. I'm going to be going through this list in order of release date. So first we're starting with January 2025. And the first volume coming out January 7th is Blood Night Market by Chise Ogawa. Blood Night Market is labeled as an action-packed supernatural thriller. It takes place in the heart of Blood Night City, a metropolis filled with vampires and humans who are willing to sell their blood. One of our main characters, Sotetsu, is an employee of the Blood Control Bureau, an organization that stamps out illegal vampire activities. But one day he runs into Mozu, a vampire that craves his undesirable blood. So it seems like we're basically going to have this interesting relationship between a, for lack of a better word, goody two-shoes police officer and a rebel. So I'm very intrigued. I'm also intrigued because there's vampires, and I'm just one of those people that is a sucker for vampires. And now on to number 2, releasing January 14th, Witch Hat Atelier Volume 13. I've talked a lot about this series on my channel. It is a fantasy manga series where we follow our main character Koko, who wants to be a witch. Some spoiler stuff happens, and then she ends up an apprentice to a witch. And she learns all about witchcraft along with the other apprentices who are also there. They're all young girls. This series focuses on like a lot of topics like friendship and love and growth, but it also interestingly talks about morality, which I am really enjoying. I think it's such an interesting topic to be covering, and it just does it so well. So I am very, very excited for volume 13. I have no idea what's in store, but I'm excited, and I'm glad that it's going to be here the first month of 2025. And now on to number 3, releasing the same day, January 14th, is Spy Family volume 13. This is a shonen series that is so wildly popular, I'm sure it needs no introduction, but I'll go ahead and give it a swing. It is basically about this man who is a spy, and his mission is to be part of a fake family. So he goes to an orphanage and adopts a child that he thinks will be no problem, and she turns out to be a handful, and that is Anya. Anya is this that was my cat's tail, animated child. She brings a lot of fun to the series. So now that our main character Lloyd has a daughter, he also needs to find a wife, and the wife that he finds happens to be an assassin ? It's very messy, very interesting. It is filled with so much laughter. This series legitimately makes me laugh out loud, and I love that there's a fun mix of things going on. There's action scenes. Some of them are even like kind of intense in terms of gore, but then you'll have like in the next chapter a really funny, wholesome family moment. So this series has range. All right, and on to number 4, releasing January 21st. That is She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat Volume 5. I am in love with this series. I've talked about it multiple times before. This is a GL series, and it's great because it focuses on adults. A lot of GL series are about high schoolers, which is great. I think that is definitely necessary and important. I personally wish I had access to more of that stuff when I was a teenager, but now as an adult, it's really great to read LGBT series that are about adults. So that's a big reason why I really love this series, and the title gives a lot of it away. It is about this girl who loves to cook. She's like an Instagram foodie, and her dream is to create like these massive, impressive feasts, but she can't eat all of it by herself. She lives alone. But one day she bumps into her neighbor, who she realizes has a huge appetite. A light bulb goes off, and they start spending time together. This series can be a little bit triggering, but I love that the author is extremely sensitive to that. There are moments in the story that contain like trigger warnings before the chapter, and the author lets you know that these chapters are completely skippable if you don't want to read it. So I really like the attentive inventiveness and just the amount of care that the author puts into this series. I love that there's lots of representation in this series, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a new GL to get into. And next up on the list is number 5, releasing January 21st, and that is Tokyo Alien Bros by Kiego Shinzo, the same mangaka that does Hirayasumi, which I am so excited about. Tokyo Alien Bros is a new series that follows 2 bros who like to hang out in Tokyo, but they're actually aliens on a mission to colonize Earth. Fuyunosuke Tanaka is a college student who, along with his brother Natsutaro, has traveled across the galaxy to study Earth and its people. Fuyunosuke is actually enjoying life in Tokyo and has got the whole being a human being thing down. His brother, however, cannot say the same, and Fuyunosuke's goal is to show his brother that life on Earth is actually not so bad after all. And honestly, I would like Fuyunosuke to show me the same. Okay, so that wraps up January. Let's move on to February with number 6. Usotoki Rhetoric Volume 10 comes out February 4th, and this is the final volume of the series. Usotoki Rhetoric is a shoujo manga about this girl who can hear lies. Whenever someone says a lie, it sounds like screechy metal in her ear. At first, her parents didn't really notice what was going on, but as she got older, it was more and more evident that she could tell when you were not telling the truth. And this made people deeply uncomfortable. Nobody wanted to hang out with her or spend any time with her or be near her. So our main character, Kanoko, feeling cast out from her town, decides to leave and goes to a new place. And as she's walking around this new town, she bumps into Detective Soma, who is a self-acclaimed amazing detective. And very quickly, Detective Soma, using his detective skills, notices that Kanoko can hear lies. But he is not afraid of this. In fact, he is intrigued and asks her to be his apprentice. And together they form this unstoppable duo, solving mysteries, finding lost belongings, bringing people together, etc., etc. It's a great, wholesome series with some really puzzling mysteries. And now on to number 7, Tokyo Babylon Volume 6, releases February 18th. Tokyo Babylon is a series that comes before X 1999, and it follows this young boy who has supernatural abilities, and he's one of the last in his clan. We follow his life in Tokyo as he uses his supernatural abilities to help others. He does things like cast away evil spirits. He can also help those who are dealing with strange spiritual issues like blockages and different energetic things. I don't know. It goes into some really interesting places, and I'm very intrigued to see where Volume 6 will take the story. And now on to number 8, Villains Are Destined to Die Volume 7. This is set to release February 18th. This is a manhwa series, and this is about a girl that basically gets stuck in an otome video game, but it's very dark. So we have our main character, who I believe is in college, and she kind of gets hooked on this mobile game. One day she wakes up in the video game as the villainess, and she knows this video game back to front, inside out, very intimately, because she has played this for probably 200 hours, if not more. So as events start to happen, she knows what the correct answer is. She knows what's going to occur after that. And she uses all of this knowledge to try to survive, because it's very difficult in this game to even live to the next day as the villain. So there's lots of action, lots of drama. It's so intense, and honestly, it has the ability to just hook you. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in Volume 7, because let's just say the last situation we were left in was precarious. And now moving on to number 9, The Guy She Was Interested In Wasn't a Guy at All Volume 2 is also set to release February 18th. We've got 3 bangers coming out in one day. The Guy She Was Interested In Wasn't a Guy at All is a GL series that is so stinking cute. It's a little bit cringe, but that's good. And I wish this series existed when I was a teenager, because it is so wholesome and it is so pure and lovely. It is about a young high school girl who goes into this music shop and finds the store clerk to be a very attractive guy. She is immediately interested in him and continues to frequent the CD shop just to get another look. And one day she kind of makes the connection, okay, that maybe that guy is not a guy, and maybe it's someone she knows, and maybe they're a girl. I love it so much, and I just can't wait for my heart to explode with volume 2. And now on to number 10, Legend of Exorcism. This releases February 25th. So Legend of Exorcism is a danmei novel, and I love danmei so much. It is one of my favorite things in the entire world. Legend of Exorcism is a thrilling high fantasy adventure set in ancient China. A naive young man must join hands with an unlucky general to protect the mortal world from evil spirits. In the mystical Taihang Mountains, where magic flows and powerful Yao roam, Hongjun has grown up sheltered from the human world. A half Yao himself, he's never had reason to leave, until the mountain's ruler sends him on a dangerous mission. Hide his true nature and join the Great Tang Department of Demonic Exorcism. Upon arriving in the bustling capital, he meets Li Jinglong, a luckless soldier with no spiritual power, tasked with leading a team of extraordinary exorcists. Together, they and their enigmatic companions must face the dark forces threatening the city. But as a bond begins to bloom between Hongjun and Li Jinglong, Hongjun wonders, can he trust Li Jinglong with the truth of who and what he is? Ooh, it's giving trust issues. Now on to number 11, Bless Volume 4. This releases February 25th. This is a shonen series about makeup. We follow this young guy who used to be a model, and everyone thinks that he should continue that career path, but he wants to do something else. He wants to be the makeup artist, applying his art on a canvas, rather than being the canvas himself. And he has these really big ambitions, and he finds an accomplice to help him with these ambitions. One of his classmates is pretty insecure about her looks, but he believes that she would make a great model. So they work together using makeup as a tool, not to cover her insecurities, but to rather highlight them in a very nice way. So for example, one of her insecurities is freckles, but instead of covering them in foundation, he decides to leave that skin bare and use makeup to kind of highlight and complement that natural feature. And I really admire that approach in this series. I also just really love a lot of the style that multiple characters have. They all have great fashion sense, great haircuts, and express themselves however they want, which I think is fantastic. And that wraps up February. Now let's move on to March. Starting off March is Demons of the Shadow Realm Volume 7, set to release March 4th. This is an action shonen series by the legendary mangaka Hiromu Arakawa, the same mangaka that did Full Metal Alchemist. I love Demons of the Shadow Realm so much, and honestly, I can't really say much about it because I would spoil it. Like I've said 1,000,001 times, this is a series that's best to go into blind. If you like shonen, if you like Hiromu Arakawa, you will not be disappointed. So definitely pick this up if you fit one of those boxes. Number 13 is What Did You Eat Yesterday Volume 22, set to release March 18th. This is one that I am so excited for. I mean, I'm excited for all of these, but I love What Did You Eat Yesterday. It is my favorite BL. It combines BL and cooking and slice of life. It is lovely. I will say that this BL is not like typical BL. Our characters are in their 40s, and they're not necessarily the most lovey-dovey, affectionate couple. And that is precisely why I like this BL very much. The premise is simple. We follow these two men in their 40s who are living together, dating, and we're essentially invited to the dinner table where they share meals, talk about work gossip, make life plans, budget plans, and things of that nature. It is a very chill series, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any trials and tribulations. I've grown very attached to these characters, and this series is quickly wrapping up. I believe there's only 1 or 2 more volumes left, and that's it. So I am excited, but also a little bit sad that I am getting nearer to the end of the story. And now on to number 14, The Summer Hikaru Died Volume 5. This is set to release March 25th. The Summer Hikaru Died is a horror BL, and honestly, this story, this manga series got me into horror. I always used to think that horror is just not my thing, but this series proved otherwise, and ever since I've gotten into other mangakas like Junji Ito, so I am very grateful to this series. In this story, we follow 2 young boys who are best friends, and one day as they are enjoying their little ice cream on a hot summer day, one of them asks a very prying question. One of the boys looks directly at his friend and asks him, "Are you really Hikaru? Because you're suspicious." And he's not Hikaru. Sadly, his friend Hikaru died and is now being replaced by this strange alien thing, and he has to keep this a secret. It's only between the both of them, and if it comes out, he will take him out of this earth. So as you can see, the stakes are pretty high. And that wraps up March, so now let's move on to April. Starting off April is The Summer Hikaru Died, the light novel, which I am very excited for because I love reading novels, and I feel like you always get a different experience, manga versus novel. I don't think either of them is better, but I like seeing what both have to offer. And now on to number 16, our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide, Volume 6. This is set to release April 22nd. This series follows these two boyfriends who decide to travel the world. And they kind of have this deal where if they travel the world and come back home, still together, still in love, then that means that they are ready for marriage. We follow them as they travel to all these different countries, enjoy delicious food, and they also run into other LGBT family members, which is so fun. So if you're looking for a BL, I would highly recommend this one. It's super wholesome, super fun, and it will make your mouth water from all the delicious food. And now on to number 17, Tamaki and Amane by Fumi Yoshinaga, the same mangaka that did What Did You Eat Yesterday. I am so beyond excited for this. This is probably the thing I'm most excited for if I'd had to pick. This story focuses on our two titular characters and how their fates intertwine time and time again, from the Edo period to modern day Japan, the post-war era to the 70s. They seem to be endlessly tethered. That synopsis is amazing, and I just can't wait. And that wraps up April, so now let's move on to May. Starting May off is number 18, On and Off Work-Life Imbalance. This is set to release May 20th. This is about a Lolita boy and a punk girl who form a fashion-forward bond without realizing that they already know each other from work. There are two sides to every working adult. One they show when they're on the job, and the one they show when they're off the clock. For these coworkers, this holds doubly true. Outside the office, these fashionistas don outfits that completely transform them into different people. So what happens when they form a connection after hours without recognizing who the other person is? I feel like this series is going to be so much fun, and it's going to get me laughing, which I definitely need in 2025. And now on to number 19, Spacewalking with You, releasing May 27. This is a coming-of-age buddy comedy manga. One of our main characters, Kobayashi, just can't focus. Not on studying, not on work, and the adults in his life think he's in danger of becoming a worthless dropout. Then, one day, a strange new presence arrives in the classroom. An energetic and naive kid named Uno. Kobayashi saves Uno from getting scammed, and that close encounter launches them into a new friendship. Uno's definitely a space cadet, but Kobayashi can't help admiring the way he floats through life. And before he knows it, he might start feeling his feet lift off the ground too. This seems like just a really sweet manga, and I love manga that focuses on friendships. You know, romance is fun. I love also family dramas and stuff like that, but friendships, there's just something about it. Something that can just really resonate with a lot of people, so I'm really excited for this series. And now on to number 20, Fairy Cat, releasing May 27. This is a sweet and fantastical story about the world's tiniest cat and the boy it chooses to live with. I love that little detail. It appeared one rainy day. Kanade almost missed it, but there on his chair sat a small, fluffy palm kitty. Yet as soon as Kanade spotted it, it vanished. These small fairy-like creatures are a rare sight to behold, as they tend to keep to tight, hidden spaces and prefer not to be touched. Sounds like a cat. But now that he's seen one, Kanade is determined to win the palm kitty's affection. This is a heartwarming tale about a boy and the fairy cat that lives with him. That is so cute. Like, how can you not want to read that? Number 21, Lionhearts. This is by Mita Ori, the same mangaka that did Our Dining Table, which is my favorite one-shot. So I am very excited about this. This is a sweet BL story about young love and how it can withstand the test of time. I'm already invested. As children, Shishimaru and Leo were inseparable. Shi-chan was so infatuated with Leo that he proposed to him as children. As the years went by, the two grew up and parted ways. That is until 10 years later, the two have finally reunited. I am such a sucker for this kind of setup. Childhood friends turn lovers, hopefully. Hey! Sorry, my cat just like moved the camera. Okay, cinematographer. But anyways, I was saying that I love the friends to lovers trope. At least I hope that's what this is. And we won't find out until July 22nd. I totally forgot to say that in the beginning. This is coming out July 22nd. Alright, also coming out in July is Astro Blade Rebirth. This is set to release July 29th. This is a sci-fi danmei, which I love. I love sci-fi, I love danmei, I love them together. The first sci-fi danmei I read was Little Mushroom. Fantastic, phenomenal. It's a great series. I highly recommend it. This danmei is by the same author behind Legend of Exorcism, so I'm really excited to read up on their work. Without further ado, let's read this synopsis together. In a world ruled by machines, one human stumbles upon a mysterious man whose presence foreshadows an apocalypse. Somewhere along the tides of time, humans lost their position as the dominant species. Dang, that sucks. Instead, they became subjugated by the city of machines, a gleaming metropolis crafted by the androids' ruling class. With guidance from their deity, Father, these machines wield control with an iron fist. This is the new reality for the young human slave Akka, who struggles daily just to survive upon the astrolabe. Wait, did I type this wrong? Oh my god, it's not Astroblade. Okay, hold on, pause. The letters got switched around. It's Astrolab or Astrolabe. Okay, continue. After all, life on this planet-sized petri dish is no easy feat. Yet when Akka encounters a mysterious raven-haired man named Heishi, cocooned along in a desolate beach, everything changes. As foretold in stories, this stranger's presence means life in Astrolabe is on the brink. When all is lost to the apocalypse, what and who will remain? That was a journey, and I'm excited for the journey I will go on through this sci-fi danmei. So that was July. Now we're moving all the way to November with number 23, Mistakenly Saving the Villain, and this is set to release November 25th. Basically like a year from now. This is yet another danmei, and this is about a medical student who has just awakened inside a historical fantasy novel. Come on, doesn't that sound interesting? You know it does. You should read danmei. If you haven't read danmei already, maybe this is the one for you. So our medical student is bestowed with a mission to save the protagonist from a life of slavery. There's just one not so minor problem. Our medical student does not read historical fantasy, and he has no idea who is who in this book. He did not read the source material for class, so instead of correctly identifying and saving the protagonist, he's actually just rescued the brilliant, the beautiful antagonist, therefore mistakenly saving the villain like the title says. And on top of that, he notices that this antagonist is going through some things, so as a medical student, he makes it his mission to basically diagnose and treat this villain. He wants to help treat his underlying trauma. Let that sink in. Now, doesn't that sound super interesting? I'm super excited about this. Unfortunately, you and I are going to have to wait quite a while for this danmei, but I think it'll be worth it. Okay, and now on to the final two. These don't have official release dates. So number 24 is Magical Girl Dandelion. This is a series that you can read already. There are chapters on Viz, and I haven't read them yet, but I anticipate that we might get the first volume next year, I think. I don't know. I'm not very good at these prediction things, but this is a series that has just gained wild popularity. Like, I feel like so many people are talking about it. This is a brand new Magical Girl series, which is really exciting in and of itself. This series follows a magical girl named Tanpopo who has a dark secret that may complicate her role as a magical girl. In this world, magical girls aren't a secret, but rather a job that you can just apply to. Those with good magical aptitude are considered, and our main character, Tanpopo, has incredible skill. She is scouted and is excited about fighting against fiends. The only problem is that her close friend Shade happens to be a fiend. Shade is her protector, but his intentions don't seem very straightforward. I'm really intrigued by how this Magical Girl series has a very evident problem, a very evident conflict, and I'm just really curious about where it's going to go with that. And now for number 25, the last spot. It goes to Mr. Junji Ito and his story collection Moan, also known as The Groaning Drain in other countries. This story collection is listed in Junji Ito's memoir Uncanny, but there isn't much information on a specific release date, but we do know the names of the short stories that will be included, which are Supernatural Transfer Student, Moan, Blue Orb Grove, Flesh-Colored Mystery, Near Miss, and Underground. I'm always excited for new Junji Ito material, so I can't wait for this. I really hope that it does come out this year and it doesn't get postponed. We'll see. And that wraps up my 25 manga that I want to read in 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite was. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your year with family and friends and doing things you love. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!